Good morning, happy Tuesday. Welcome to a very special edition of Honest Tea. A little bit later than normal. If you are here watching on the replay, as I know most of you are, hashtag replay in the comments. Do let me know that you came, you watched, you joined in. Morning, Jenna, I can see you. I can see there's a few of you hopping on live, which is amazing. Please give me a little comment. Just say hi or something to me just to see if I can see the comments. If not, I'm going to have to use an extra device to try and see them. And hearts and thumbs ups and all. Anakin, thank you. I can see comments. Amazing. I'm loving all the hearts and thumbs up. It's really good. It helps tell other people that we are on live. I'm going to try really hard. Hey, Katie. Try really hard not to over talk and keep you all here for ages. I've made notes. You'll be pleased to know I got my notes to go with. So I thought it would be, having had many conversations with you while I'm obviously enrolling for the new certification. Hey, you guys. Hi, Alexandra. Janet's on. I've been having lots of conversations when it comes to certification, and I think that there's not an awful lot of information out there about what it's actually like to be an accountability coach. I think we all know or can imagine what it's like to be a personal trainer, personal training someone in a gym, or, them coming to your house to work out, creating workouts for someone, doing online programming, things like that. But I think it's harder to imagine what your life would be like as an accountability coach. So I intend to, hi you guys, I intend to go over sort of just what a day in the life is like for me, just from the purposes of my one-on-one coaching work. And I'm going to show you how that fits in with family, with all the other kinds of work. As you know, I have a few businesses now, and I have also lots of different revenue streams away from just one-on-one. So to show you how it sort of all fits together. So we will talk about how much time do you need to do it. We're going to talk about, can you really do it and not have any qualifications in nutrition and health and fitness, and how does that even work? Because I know that's a bit of a mindset barrier, as in I couldn't possibly work in health and fitness with accountability. I don't know enough and I don't have the qualifications to back me up. We'll cover that. We're going to talk about how do I actually get clients results. And how do I know what to say to a client, when you are dealing with them every day? How does that happen? How does that happen? We can talk about money. If you want to talk about money, we can talk about money. And whether or not you have to have social media and do it like me. And that's part of being an accountability coach. So yes, lots to get through. And then I've written down all the questions that you posted as well, super helpful. So we're going to talk about timelines, the kind of tools and tech that I use. Yes, so, right. Thanks for being able to listen here. That's great. So nice to see. Morning, Emma. Siobhan's on. Tia, Lisa, so lush to see you. Daniela, Steph. Hey. Right. Okay, feel free to, I'll try and keep an eye on the comments as well, so feel free to ask questions as we go along. But, so, I have clients right now, and I'm also, if you can imagine, I'm here talking to you guys, doing this for the certification. I've been working on this certification for 6 months, maybe a little bit longer now. I also run 40 Fit. I run Well the brand, I do a lot of other things, and then you've got the fact that I have 2 children and a husband, and I've moved house and done a house renovation, so it's a lot going on in life, but I manage very well to always have one-on-one accountability coaching clients. And the reason is that out of all the things that I do, accountability coaching, I think, takes up the least amount of physical presence time in my life. It's the easiest thing to slot into my life. So for instance, I wake up every morning and I go to the gym. So when I'm doing that early, I send my clients a morning message just to set the tone for the day. And I just send one message to all my clients I can do, or sometimes if they're in very, very different places in their their journey with me, I might do separate ones. Like, it just depends. But normally I've got a message that goes out to new clients, like they're in their first cycle with me, and then if I've got long-term existing clients, maybe they'll get another message instead. But I set them up in the morning, and then I get on with my workout, and I'm then waiting to hear from them when they're up. It's on their schedule, so they will then get in touch with me as they know to do this when they're up and they've like had to think about how they want their day to go today. So I just get on with my workout. They might text me, say I text them around 6 a.m. in the morning. They might text me maybe like 7:30. And the idea is that they have had 5 minutes in the morning to think about their day, think about how they want it to go, think about what the challenges are today, think about what meal opportunity, like what options they have for food they want to eat that day. So it will be based around what's their work day going to be like, have they got any social engagements that day. It's not just a case of here's your meal plan, follow it. They are thinking about, okay, what is my day like? What's realistic for me today? And let's make a plan based off of my actual day. So they send through whatever their plan for that day is or how they want their day to go. They send that through to me. So then I know what I'm holding them accountable for that day. Obviously, I already know their wider goals. I booked them on, they would have received like an intake form from me to fill in. And all of this I give you, by the way, in the certification, like my intake form that I use with my clients, you get to use with yours. So that I'll have already background information on them, like what their overarching goals are, like, you know, whether or not it's weight they want to lose or they're trying to get stronger or whatever it is. But they will give me every day an idea of what's going on for them and how they want their day to go. And from that point on, I only message my clients when they make contact with me. I'm not chasing my clients. I'm not hounding them. It's just what I mean. It's a nice process. It's not me like with an iron fist ruling their day. Like, they know, they've given me the plan. They've told me what they want to achieve. And then each part of that plan, they need to tell me about like how it's going or check in when they've done it. So it could be that, you know, they're planning to do a workout that day. It could be that they're planning to go to a restaurant for lunch and they want to make a healthy choice. So they're going to update me on these things as and when they can. So it's about convenience for them. So I technically, as long as I have my phone with me, I might not have any other work to do with my clients up until lunchtime. Depends. So they might tell me how their breakfast, what they have for breakfast. They might like check in at lunchtime to tell me how that went. But I might not be actually with my clients or doing anything like all morning. I'm free to take Maddie to school. I don't have to be on Zooms or anything. I can get on with other work. So I run my other businesses alongside this. I'm doing my house renovation or moving house or getting on with other things, because it doesn't matter where I am. I could be out doing this food shop. I could be sorting through all the mess of rubbish I've got to do for my house renovation. They will text me, and as long as I got my phone with me, I can respond to them for their check-in. And then we both go about our day, and then the afternoon might be that maybe I don't hear from them. Generally, my busy points, and I always know this, will be breakfast time, lunchtime, dinner time. Those are the 3 busiest parts of my day, depending on how many clients I have or when I should expect messages. They might text randomly, might tell me about that they've hit 2 liters of water. They might tell me about something that's an obstacle that's come up, so they might message about that. They have free reign, so that it is unlimited access. They have free reign to message me whenever they want, but I am not set to being at my desk at a certain time, being a certain place at a certain time. I'm not committed to messaging them at a certain time. It's very much, I just go with the flow with their day. And as long as I'm on hand and I'm on my phone and they know that I will always try and respond as quickly as I can, I like to aim within 30 minutes so that they get that instant hit of somebody has seen my actions. I'm not waiting for a text from Nikki for too long. And a big question I always get is, how, like, if I've got appointments that day, let's say, I've got to go see my accountant, or I've got to go to Maddie's class assembly, or ballet recital, or even I got dentist appointment or something. How do I get around that when technically my clients could message me at any time? Clients have their own lives. They don't want to hear from me all the time. They understand as well that there will be times when I will have an appointment. So I just manage their expectations and just say, so I'll be in the dentist, or I'll be doing something with Maddie from 11 till 12:30. I might not be on my phone, but just send through your messages whenever you want, and I'll pick them up as soon as I'm back on my phone. So as long as I manage their expectations of what my day is like, there's never ever an issue. Even when I've had to take a flight and I've been worried I might not have Wi-Fi for 3 hours, because on the short haul planes you don't get Wi-Fi. So I'm be like, I'm going to be getting on a plane at this time from here, so I'm going to be off my phone, but just leave your messages and your check-ins. I will pick them up and come back to you, and it works perfectly well. I don't do that every day, like all the time, obviously, but it's very, very flexible. The reason I started this business 6 years ago was because I was a stay-at-home mum, and I wanted to be with Maddie. I'd been a stay-at-home mum for Charlie, and I'd been very, very present with him and involved in everything, that he did at school. And I knew I wanted to work, but I didn't want to not be available to my family. I also didn't want to have to say no to things, or I didn't want to be like, oh, I can't, I've got to be sat at my desk. It's not quite the same now, because I do have to be sat at my desk. I have to do calls now and things like this for my other businesses, but I can always slot one-on-one clients in, even though when I'm hectic and busy with other revenue streams and businesses. So it's very, very, very flexible. And even we might think, oh yeah, but if it's busy at breakfast, lunch and dinner, that's like your tea time, that must be awful. It's really not. Everyone has dinner at slightly different times. I tend to eat early with the kid, because the kids eat early, or Maddie eats early, so I tend to eat earlier. It's better for me in my 40s if I eat early too. So I'm normally done by the time any clients text me. And it's no difference to when your friends message you on WhatsApp. At times you can hold off if you're in the middle of cooking something. Obviously you've got time to message them back when you've done what you're doing. It's not like, oh my God, my client doesn't have got a message back. It's just about, rather than waiting a week to speak to you on an hour-long Zoom, we are just making sure that they get positive feedback and feel successful at multiple points during their day. And this leads me really nicely on as to how I make sure clients get results. Now, so long as a client is checking in with me throughout the day, and this is really, really important part of being an accountability coach, is this daily sort of process of checking in has to happen. I'm not saying it has to happen all throughout the day, because there will be some clients who will be like, I'm in work, I'm in an important busy job, I will not have time to check in throughout the day, but I will message in the morning with my plan, and I will update you once I'm done with work in the evening. That will absolutely is fine as well. But accountability works so brilliantly when we can make sure that they have a successful day every day. And we make sure that they're successful every day, not necessarily because they have a perfect day and they stick to their plan religiously and they don't ever come across a blip or an obstacle, but we are not letting them stay in any kind of negative mindset. If something goes wrong, we're the people that support them, that make them feel better, that remind them of all the amazing efforts they've made and all the dozens of things that have gone right, because we've seen it all, and we make them focus on what has gone well, what has happened, rather than the one tiny thing that maybe hasn't. Because what it's like, what we all do it, don't we? We never focus on all the good things. It's just that, and there's loads of them. It's when one thing happens and we then tear ourselves apart. The beauty about being an accountability coach is we get to be the people that, I've seen all the amazing things that you've done today, yesterday, all this week. We don't need to be worried about one little thing that went wrong, and we get to put it in perspective for them. And believe us because they know we've seen it all. It's not a case of, like I said, getting on that one weekly Zoom call where you really haven't seen what their week has actually been like. All these little things have been missed. They won't remember to tell you the millions of little wins they've had along the week. And so it all gets a bit lost in translation. I get the privilege of witnessing all the little efforts, all the little wins that come along in my client's week. And so in a moment of them tearing themselves apart over something that really doesn't need to be a big deal, I get to remind them and be like, you've had about 75,000 ticks this week of being amazing. I think we can let you off this one thing that didn't go right. Like, what's your next great choice? I'm always about moving clients forward, just not letting them sit if they're feeling down, not letting them sit and stay there and negotiate themselves into, making some choices that maybe aren't that great for them. I'm always just asking them the question of like, what is a good thing you can do for yourself right now? What will make this better? What will make it happy? I don't prescribe it, which is the other thing that I think is key about knowing about being an accountability coach. We have such a powerful position to do such a lot of good for our clients, and we can get better results than any other coaching modality out there in terms of that 95% success rate. But we do it without prescribing anything, without needing to get to the root cause of someone's issues or the problems, or because a lot of coaching is about really uncovering what the actual problem is so you can sort of solve it or overcome it. Because they always say it's the presenting problem is never the problem. There's always something sat underneath that we're maybe not aware of, and that's why we can't change it. And that takes a lot of inner work. It's normally quite a lengthy process. Very worthwhile, don't get me wrong, but not every client wants to go into their deep-rooted issues in order for to get health and fitness results or to make progress or achieve their goals. Sometimes people's past or deep-rooted issues are very painful to bring up and go through. So this is like a content-free, it does no damage. It does, no one's having to relive any of their trauma. We don't have to worry about the safety of our clients, their emotional safety. And that's why sort of a lot of other coaching programs are much longer. We don't need to worry about any of that. We are purely there to put them in an environment where they just naturally perform better. And by witnessing what they're doing as often as we can, and having a sort of safe place to sort of talk about their wins, to be acknowledged, to be validated, to have support, to have someone cheering them on, someone someone where it means as much to someone else as it means to them, it naturally activates a better level of performance from that person. So it's, I've used this analogy all the time, but it's like when someone's coming around your house and all the jobs you've been avoiding all week, you suddenly spring to action and get it all done because it's like, oh my God, someone's coming, got to better clean up. And it's the easiest cleanup you've ever done and the fastest cleanup you've ever done. And your house has never looked better because you've gone to all this extra effort to make it look and smell particularly amazing because someone's coming to see it. And our clients perform the same way when they know we're going to see it. It just naturally happens. We don't need to ask anything of them. We don't need to push them to do it. We don't need to have tough conversations necessarily. It's more about just creating this environment, a very special environment where they can succeed. It's really exciting. It's really positive. I never have a bad day in work in terms of, oh my gosh, I've taken on a lot of somebody else's emotions or a lot of somebody else's childhood traumas, because I'm not doing that kind of coaching. I'm never in a job where it's right, we need to have a talk because you've not been doing your workouts. I never ever have conversations like that. And I know that some of my coaches are on now, some coaches who've done On Track Coach, and I'm sure they would agree, we never have to have conversations like that, because the way I teach you in the course, in the certification, is that the client is always doing their best. We come always from the client of, I see the best in you, and therefore you will end up seeing the best in yourself, because you're going to see yourself through my eyes. So we're always like, you are doing amazing. Let me tell you all the ways that you are doing an amazing job. I understand that there are some challenges and some issues, but you are, you know, look how amazing you've been doing in all these other areas, and we can absolutely work on this. Like, what do we need to do? What's going to make this feel easier for you? I'm never ever prescribing or saying, right, well, you need to do this, and this is like, do X, Y, Z and report back to me. Never, ever, ever. The client decides, and we're there just to make sure they have someone to report to, someone to record their effort with, to witness it with, and someone to celebrate with. So I had a client actually this morning. She might watch this actually, so hi if you watch. I had a client this morning tell me I had the dream job. We were talking about her job, and I was like, oh my gosh, her job is so impressive. Like, it's so wildly impressive. And she was like, let's be fair, we both know who has the dream job. It's you. And she meant the one-on-one coaching. It's very, very special. So it's a very easy coaching methodology, in the sense that we don't need years and years of training in order to keep our clients safe and to be able to help them process huge amounts of trauma or underlying issues. We are only about their plans and putting them in this environment so that they can achieve their plans through this automatic, innate, inbuilt system they have, where accountability is the only thing that triggers it. So I hope that makes you feel a little bit excited about what a nice lifestyle it is when you're an accountability coach, and what a positive interaction you'll have every day with your clients. It's always lovely. I think the most challenging, so I did say I'd be honest about the cons, the most challenging part of the job is probably when someone doesn't check in. I've had over the years, I've had a couple of people ghost me. Sometimes this is just because they really didn't understand that they could message me as often as they wanted to. So sometimes it was a misunderstanding that way. And so sometimes a little bit of a conversation needs to happen. Like, you know, I just wanted to, I'm not hearing from you that much. I want to check, is there anything else I can be doing? Like, always the onus on me, never the client. And then other times it's just because genuinely they are just the exception to the rule, as in the process just isn't right. They're not someone who wants to be witnessed. They probably find that very challenging and confronting to have maybe certain behaviors be witnessed, and or they just don't like the idea that they need to message in at certain checkpoints through the day, and it feels too uncomfortable and they can't, it's not right for them. So that's normally the most difficult part. I've, like I said, never had to have like a super challenging conversation where I have to pull someone up on, like, it just doesn't happen like that. But we talk all about this in the certificate, just to reassure you. So we explore the entire role of an accountability coach, what you can do, what you can't do, exactly like the theory and research behind working with clients and what produces great results and elicits the best reaction from clients. We also go through like red flags, what to look out for with clients, how to set them up, book them on, and make sure. We also go through like all the sort of different scenarios you might come up with a client, so that you're prepared and know the best ways to handle them, and you have confidence in the fact that you don't need the answers. It's not like I need the best hack, or I need the best a piece of information and knowledge to give a client. We work very little from knowledge, and we work much more from, okay, so, something less than ideal has happened. What can you do? Like asking a question. So it's more about discovering the most important and useful questions to ask a client, rather than us like being worried that we don't have enough knowledge or training or, insights in like coaching, into coaching modalities like life coaching and mindset coaching and things like that. And it's the whole reason why it's so not necessary to have an in-depth or broad knowledge of nutrition and exercise, or need to be a personal trainer or have qualifications in nutrition and personal training, because we don't prescribe and we don't give advice. You can talk from your own experience, and clients love that, and I do that all the time, but we don't prescribe with knowledge. don't get me wrong, if you know things and you think certain things will be helpful, you can absolutely, you know, if your client asks you, you can absolutely respond. Why not? Like, I definitely over the years have really honed my expertise into behavior change, routine building, mindset, like just changing the perspective, just because over the years, working one-on-one with so many women, I really began to understand and feel that nearly everyone I worked with had had such a negative experience with health and fitness, usually that resulted in failure of some kind. And so a lot of the work I wanted to do was to be able to give them a more positive experience. And that was very easy to do with accountability coaching. I was able to provide really, really positive experiences without any actual behavior change knowledge, mindset knowledge, or anything like that. But just because my role was to support them and make them feel amazing. My role was to tell them how well they're doing at the moment when they feel bad. And that was enough to really change their whole experience with now working out and dieting, because you've got this positive reinforcement all the time. So don't get me wrong, I did continue to study and research and really dive into behavior change, and just from experience of working with clients, I've worked with over 200 women one-to-one, and so when you build up that amount of experience, you do naturally just get to see and experience behavior change in women, and you get a really good understanding of it that I've been able to build off as well. But it works, brilliantly without any other qualifications. You will absolutely be able to deliver results for your clients using the process, the framework that we give you. And it really is like a step-by-step, daily, repeatable framework that you can use with every client. So it's not like, when you personal trainer and you have a new client, they've got to have a bespoke workout plan for them. It's not like that. So everything is repeatable. It puts everyone, both you and your client, in a great routine where you both know what you're doing. You get into a lovely flow. You really build lots of rapport while you do it. So how much time do I think it takes up? I mean, it's text messaging and voice notes. So every now and then I might listen to a 5-minute voice note from a client who wants to rant about her day, or update me on something amazing, or tell me what her best friend said, when something like that, which I absolutely love. If you know me, I love a voice note. But I don't spend any lengthy time ever sat at a desk or having to schedule in clients for one-on-ones or anything like that. It's just messaging friends on WhatsApp. So I reckon total amount of time in a day per client is probably racks up to half an hour. If you had the total amount of time I'm giving to respond or leave a voice note back per client would be no more than half an hour in a day. And this is why I advertise and say wholeheartedly, you can do this if you've got a busy family life. You can do this if you have a full-time job. You run it as a side hustle. You really can. There's not a lot of scenarios it wouldn't work in. The only scenario I think it wouldn't work in is if you have the kind of high-level security job where you have to hand your phone in and you didn't have your phone all day. That would be the only scenario. So, oh, hey, Katie Ann. No, you're fine. Michelle worked as an accountability coach for me for a good couple of years, and she had a very, a big managerial job. And so she would just, she would have her WhatsApp up on her computer screen rather than on her phone. So as she was doing office tasks, she'd see if admin tasks, she'd see if a client message came in, and she'd be able to respond. And she would just say I'll be checking your messages at these times during the day, and she would just set the expectation. So any clients that worked with her knew that she checked in the morning, or checked messages in the morning, around 11, around 1, around 3, so you can do it however, you can set whatever boundaries you want, and the process still works just as good. How do I know what to say to a client? Kind of covered, in the sense of saying that we don't ever need to know something. It's not a knowledge-based thing. They're not waiting for us to give them the missing piece of information. They just need someone to hear them, listen, and hopefully make them feel better enough to continue with their day. And like I said, in the certification, we talk to you and teach you all about how to use reflection and questions rather than trying to find like, oh, well, this is the thing you should do, if that makes sense. So the client is always coming up with their own plans, their own solutions to their problems or ways to overcome their own obstacles, but we just facilitate that mindset of moving them forward through it rather than prescribing what they should do. The other thing that's come up a lot, and I'm going to do a much bigger talk probably on it, is social media, and is that actually a necessary part of being an accountability coach, and do you have to do it like I do? And I'm aware there's a large part of my social media that's so cringe, that involves me showing my own fitness journey on publicly and, you know, talking about my body and stuff. You absolutely don't need to do any of that. You don't need an audience anywhere near the size of mine. You don't even have to be on social media if you don't want to. I would always advise you have a presence on there, because it will be the first place someone looks you up. So if you met someone and you were talking about what you did and they were interested, the first thing they're going to do is go and try and find you on social media. So it's always good to have the pages, like, you know, your business on there so that you can be found, but you absolutely don't need to be some Instagram personality or personal brand like the way that I do it. Mine happened by accident and I'm so grateful for it, and I have all of you because of it, but it's not the done way. You don't need to do it. You know, I was just talking yesterday with Charlie Day about different ways people run their businesses, and she goes to a gym where she lives, and she said that her husband joined a completely different gym. Why? Because someone put a flyer through his door, a flyer talking about the local gym, and he saw it and he decided to go there. Absolutely nothing to do with social media, very much to do with word of mouth, being local. There's a million different ways that you can choose to market and message about your business, and the old school tactics work just as well as the newer ones. There are people who prefer to do it all different ways. You don't need to even be on Instagram. Maybe LinkedIn will be your preference, where it's really not about all these like photographs of fitness before and afters and all of that. You know, you could have a social media account where one of the best social media accounts I follow, who's a coach, not an accountability coach, but she is a behavior change women's fitness coach. Everyone loves her account, not because she'll like show up and show her abs and, you know, be all the life and soul of Instagram. They love it because she just does loads of question boxes and answers questions and gives her opinions on things, and people really love that kind of engagement. And she also just shares, like, you know, if a client asks her something, and she just shares her perspective on it. And it's really not about being this showy offy personal brand. It's more about, she's just always demonstrating her relationship with clients or her point of view on things with health and fitness. There's just so many different ways that you could do it. You could do it purely from email. You could do it, I said, in corporate. You could do it in your local area and collaborate with gyms, put out flyers, do accountability coaching face to face and on the phone, like as in meet up with your clients, go for wellness walks together as part of your package. There's so many different ways you can do it. Please don't look at my Instagram and think that's what you need to be successful. I always say this in everything that I ever advertise. I do really well in my businesses, and I'm really fortunate and grateful for what my businesses give me. It's the most money I've ever made in my life. I do not have a track record of having like well-paid jobs. Like, I was a teaching assistant and I worked in retail as a supervisor. Like, I've never had well-paying jobs, never been worked in a corporate role. And like, this is the most money I've ever made in my life. But I don't, like, if you compare me to the likes of someone like Charlie Day, who has, I don't know, must have like 240,000 more followers than, or 220,000 more followers than Charlie Day. Charlie Day makes way more money than me. Charlie Day makes about 4 times if not more than that, more money than me. And it's got nothing to do with the size of her audience. It's got to do with her messaging and how she markets her business, and the way that she does it really speaks to her ideal client. Also, word of mouth for her is huge, which is the most vital part of being a coach. You'll have seen I don't really advertise one-on-one at all online. I don't use social media for my one-on-one clients whatsoever. I get clients coming back who've worked with me before, who know how good I am and want to work with me again. So my current clients, one is a long-term client and one is a client who's come back at the minute. And I've just had an email this week from another client who worked with me in 2022, needs a reset, wants to come back. And the other ones is either from like word of mouth or people who have seen what I've done previously and are inquiring about it. I never have to, song and dance it out on Instagram. I could do, and I could work with lots more clients. I'm not going to lie about it. It's absolutely a way I could do it. And I think it's a really good way. I think social media is really powerful, but you don't have to. What I'm saying is you could get your first client in, and then you could use marketing methods such as, like, if you refer a friend, you get a discount on your next 4 weeks, and your friend gets a little discount on her first 4 weeks. You could use referral method marketing. So could get someone a great result and get them to recommend, if they recommend or pass your details on to 5 friends and say how great her experience was, she gets a little discount and they get a little bit, there's lots of different ways you can do it. So don't think you have to just do it my way. Right. Let me know if you want me to talk about money. I know there's a question for one of you guys. I never know whether it's the right thing to do. I'm happy to talk to you about money, but I also, it's not everyone's cup of tea, is it? So just let me know if you want me to talk about money, what I've charged, how much money I'm able to make from it, how, when I set up and stuff. Questions I had from you guys. So I got asked about sort of a timeline, and so I guess money's involved in this a little bit. Is how long did it, she said she wanted to know on how long it took me to set up my business, get my first client, how long I roughly have a client for, and how long did it take me to reach a certain level of income. So, because she said it always looks like on Instagram that everything is instant. So I really loved this question because it's not instant. It's not instant for anybody. And everything that's worthwhile does take time, and there are some quick bits, but there are some things that also do require consistent effort. Just like health and fitness for our clients, building a business takes consistent effort and consistently putting yourself out there. Yeah, great question, right? So it took me 6 weeks to launch my business. Now, I can caveat this. It took me 6 months and 6 weeks to launch my business. I did 6 months of messing around, being too scared, of having a notebook of ideas, of being too scared to do anything with it, of telling myself it was a stupid idea, telling myself nobody would know what it was, my husband rolling his eyes at me going, are you sure you don't want to just be a personal trainer? And I was like, no, I want to do this, and not believing I could do it, and literally talking myself out of it at every opportunity. So I spent 6 whole months doing that. And then I worked with a mentor who basically acted like an accountability coach. So I had to meet certain check-ins with her, which just showed me how powerful what I was going to do was. Because as soon as I had someone who was as invested in making sure I did launch my business as I was, I got everything together within 6 weeks and launched my business from the day that I started working with her. And it should have been quicker, but there was 2 weeks in the middle where I avoided her calls and cried because I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to do it. So just for full transparency, I could have done it in 4, but I did it in 6. And so from, the minute I started talking to her, and she sort of said, right, by the next time we speak, you need to have set up a bank account and this, that, and the other, and spoke to back contracts and whatever. So the whole process took me 6 weeks. I was very lucky. I did launch to a large audience. I did not launch to a warm audience though, and this is something you definitely learn in the certification, is the difference between launching to a cold audience and it doesn't matter how big the audience is. if they're not warm and they're not expecting what's coming and they're not ready for it and excited for it, doesn't matter how good your offer is or how brilliant your business is, it will flop. It just does, because even on something like social media where I speak to them every day, if for a new offer, they need to have heard about it and know it's coming at probably about 21 times before I actually launch it. And I think the biggest mistake I've seen from coaches that came through the program over the years is you get so excited to finish learning. So you finish the course, you put a post out on social media straight away. I'm now an accountability coach and my next cycle starts on Monday. Message me if you want to find out more info, if you want a spot. And no one messages. And you're like, well, this isn't meant to happen. What's going on? Like, and then you've got no one booked in for Monday. You feel hurt, sad, like embarrassed, whatever, because you think everybody's noticed and nobody really has. And then you're like, okay, well, that didn't work, and you think that it's not a viable business, or you're not cut out for it, or whatever story you want to tell yourself. And it really isn't anything about that. It is about, they didn't know it was coming, they didn't hear about it enough times, like you're never going to reach anywhere near enough people in one Instagram post to get a client. They're not going to bang down your door. We need to, and this is why you have it. This is exactly why you have a social media module. It's about creating rapport with people and relationship building first, so that we're not just those salespeople that just like, oh, I've not chatted to you before, but do you want to buy this from me? Yes, to talk about money. Okay, that's me scared and only post 1 or 2 times and then nobody gets the info. Yeah, like whereas with 40 Fit, just for as an example, I give myself we build a wait list before it comes. So I'm talking about it and reminding people that I have this thing called 40 Fit and you might want to get on the wait list all the time. Then 4 weeks before, even longer, probably 5 weeks before it even starts, I'm going to go out to the wait list and prep them that they're getting like their wait list opportunity to join first. And then I will give myself 5 weeks, and this is just to sell like £100 group challenge. I give myself 5 weeks to ramp everyone up, to give Instagram a chance to push it out to more people, like the fact that I'm holding it, to educate about why we need help in our 40s with fitness and fat loss. And it's constant, and I do it for 4 weeks. You've seen me in OTM when I'm selling one-to-many, which I'm not, by the way, just I'm not doing that next year. But you've seen me do it. It's 2 weeks of build-up, hype for the challenge, like warming people up. Something big is coming. Something like, you're going to want to keep your eye on my page, little teasers, little bits of information. Then there's 2 weeks of knowledge, like telling people why they need this, like why it's good for them. And then 2 weeks of the cart being open and people being able to buy. So it takes a lot longer than you think, than just putting out a post and hoping someone's going to message you off the back of it. Don't get me wrong, it might happen, but it shouldn't be something we should expect to happen. This is why we're businesses, we need a way to be able to talk like often about what we do and why we do it and why it's so needed and necessary. And it doesn't have to happen on Instagram, but those conversations need to be happening somewhere, whether it's like, as I said, flyers in your local area that you keep flying, and you put things up in the gym, you're handing out, so people used to hand out business cards and things like that, and like literally go around and talk to people about what they're doing. But we have to have a way of telling people often what we do and why we do it and why it's important. So that bit, I think for me, I was very lucky. I could launch to an audience. I had people there watching. But if you think at the time when I launched my business, I had, I think, 250,000 followers and 8 people agreed to work with me out of 250,000. So it was not the easiest start because they were cold, and I did the thing where I just came out and put a post out like, this is what I'm doing now. No one knew what it was. So when people found out the price, like they were like, oh, I didn't realize that's what I was signing up for. So 8 people agreed. But out of those 8, 7 stayed on like for a long time, like worked with me for a while. I say a long time, as in for more than 4 weeks cycle. They stayed, like one of them stayed for 2 years. Like they loved it. The feedback was incredible. And then that feedback was enough then to keep me going. But the first cycle I had 8 clients. I booked 2 more the month after, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, maybe I'm not going to be able to do this. That only booked 2, but then after that, it gained real momentum. Kim said, I did my training with you in November, and I got my first client in the March. Amazing. So yeah, it's a good example though, Kim. Thank you. That it takes a little bit of messaging around it, and it doesn't mean you have to post every day or, like I said, you know, be screaming about it on social media, but you need to know that we have to be talking about it. It has to become really normal for whoever's listening to hear about what we do, and be like, we have to make them aware of the fact that they need it. Like maybe they don't even know that they need it at this point. So how long do it? So clients range, like I used to work with clients for 4 weeks, and then they used to be able to like book on for extra months after that. Because I am busy now, I run a very different business model to the business I ran in the first 2 years. The first 2 years was all about one-on-one clients and that very little else. But now, because I do lots of other things and I don't work with that many one-on-ones, I work with fewer people for more money, and they commit to 8 weeks minimum at a time now. So I charge £1,000 for 8 weeks. I did not start there. I started at £250 for 4 weeks. But we go through pricing and where you want to pitch yourself. Like I personally now think you should all be at around £400 a month for this service. I think it's worth every penny. I more often than not get feedback that it's worth more than what we charge for it. I think that I don't think I should definitely not sort of start less than a couple of £100 a month, but it, you know, like I said, we go properly through pricing and strategy for it and what feels good and where you want to sit in the market. We'll talk about that in the certification. But I know that I've been asked, like, how long did it take me to reach a certain level of income? So my first year working purely one-to-one, I did nothing else. I earned £43,000, which again was the most money I'd ever made. By the end of year 2, I broke my first sort of 6-figure year. I believe it was 113,000 in year 2, but I didn't end up just doing one-on-one. Most of my year was one-on-one, but I also had taken on another coach at that time because I was trialing my method with another coach. So I was getting, because I was generally was sort of finding her clients, like I was getting a cut of that as well. So I had a bit extra coming in from that. But I also spent that year trialing this method to see if it was just me specific or whether it worked for other people, and it did, and it worked. So there was other little things going on, but I massively scaled my one-on-one. Like at one point I was working with 22 clients a month, which was busy. But good, fun, definitely more time consuming. And I would probably say I would cap it now. I would never work with more than 20. I don't work with anything like that now, but at the time I would probably say cap it at 20. And then after that, since that second year of hitting 6 figures, I've maintained like over 6 figures, very comfortable over 6 figures every year from my coaching. But I do have to include, like, I have On Track Coach in that as well. But now with 40 Fit, which is my accountability challenge, which we also cover in the certification, that's such a big chunk of income now as well. So just for the coaching side alone is well over 6 figures now, but I am 6 years in. And then with On Track Coach, or what is now the Accountability Coach certification, I'm just hitting multi 6 figures so I'm just over 200,000 now for On Track as a business. But there's other things that go to it other than one-on-one, and I don't want to mislead anyone. But what I'm saying is we will teach you in the certification a multi-revenue model, business model, so that you're not just like, oh, I'm just here to learn one-on-one. You know that there are different revenue streams. And if you want to build an audience, if you want to have multiple revenue streams like I do, where you have challenges, memberships, masterclasses, group programs, as well as one-on-one, that having these multiple revenue streams is what allows you to build a six-figure business. That's absolutely in the certification, because I want everyone to be able to build the business that suits you. And for some of you that will be, I want to stick with one-on-one. Some of you that will be, I want a multifaceted business. And some of you will have like really big plans of scaling your own coaching company, I'm sure. So we include all of that at the same time. The longest client I've ever had was 2 years. I normally work, I won't work now with a client less than 8 weeks, just because of my schedule. I want to be able to, because I travel a lot, so I like to just book clients in for whatever, like the slot of time that I've got, because I do like to go on a lot of holidays. So that just works better for me. But I would say they can come for a minimum of 4 weeks and achieve something great in 4 weeks. But I would say the most normal amount of time is around 3 months is the average amount of time a client spends with me. And then after that would be like 4 to 6 months. It's rare, I think, anyone comes for, it's 4 weeks is normally they're skeptical and they come for 4 weeks and then they book on for longer after they've done it. Once the training is complete, do you still offer mentoring? That's such a great question, actually, because this is something it's in development right now, because we've got so much coming up with the training centre now, as in we've got this CPD accreditation, and as many of you know, next year we've got the pathway with ICF, the International Coaching Federation. It's going to be really important to me to be able to mentor those of you that want that in order to build your businesses, to become great and highly skilled coaches. So I definitely, it's on my radar once this first round of the certification is to offer a membership of some kind. I don't know what it will be called yet, but a membership where we can stay together and I can really help keep you accountable and motivated for building your businesses, as well as be there to give you advice, to talk to you about systems, things like that. Anything that's helpful in terms of whether it's client-based or business-based. So that I do want that. And obviously, if you're in this first certification, there will be a founder's rate, shall we say, when you come out of it, because you'll be the first people in it. So you always get the best deal. When you're the first to do the new thing, you always get the best deal. So you're the first to do the certification, so you're getting the challenge, the big challenge bonus, and you obviously will get the better offer when ICF comes next year, and you will also get the better offer for if you want to come into mentoring and membership with me. So yes, that will be on offer. I'm not going to try and give you too many details as of yet. That will be something that as we work through the certification, I'll be able to see what we need and what we don't. So I'm sure you will tell me. The other thing was that I got asked what kind of and I think this is a really good question, because I think it puts a lot of people off, the systems and tech that you're going to need to run your business. Let's just be clear. I started my business with PayPal, a bank account, an email address, so something I could email people from, and a landing page that had an application form on my landing page. So it was this is me, this is what I do, you can apply here. So you don't need any tech to do this business at all. You absolutely could do it with a Google Drive, so Google Forms, have a landing page created in a Google document, because you can just give the link to that landing page that tells what you do. Then they can fill in a Google form if they want to apply, and you can literally either have them bank transfer you, which is what I did in the beginning, but I wouldn't recommend that, and just PayPal invoice. You don't need anything. Now that I'm 6 years on and I have a much bigger business with lots of different elements to it, like I have all the tech. I've got an email system. So I have an email service provider. I use ActiveCampaign. I've got a fully multi-page website. I have checkout systems. So I use the Thrivecart checkout system. I've used different payment processors. So I'll use PayPal, I'll use Stripe. We've just started to use Klarna and things like that, Apple Pay. And I use the system, I use like ManyChat. Some of you would have seen that now because I get a lot of comments on services like 40Fit. So to help use that, I use ManyChat. So I have a wealth of experience of tech and the kinds of tech you can use in this business, but we don't start there, and you don't need to. This is the brilliant thing about this business is once you know the system, you know the process, and you're confident in your coaching, the setting up of your business really doesn't cost very much money, or it definitely doesn't have to. I spent very, very little money setting up my business. The most expensive thing I had to pay for were contracts, legal contracts for accountability coaching terms of service, because they don't exist. So I had to go and get them made bespoke for my company, but I give you those as part of your certification. They were £3,000 on their own. That's how much I spent having terms and conditions made by the best, like with a legal firm that had an international presence that could advise me on like using these with clients in different countries, coaches in different countries. So you get that, but that was the most expensive thing I bought for my business. Everything else, I built a free landing page on Wix. I did buy a domain name, but again, we have a whole module in the certification on setting up your business, everything you need to just actually get set up, and 99% of that doesn't cost any money. How is it for us that has done accountability coaching? Is it the same type of info or the new course? Anakin, you would count as alumni. So we have a special offer for alumni. Like, we've really tried to look after everyone who invested in On Track Coach before it was a certification. We've tried to look after you. It might be because you did it so many years ago. It might be that you are possibly not on my mailing list if you haven't seen it. But Anakin, just message me, or I'll try and message you after this, and I'll send you the alumni offer just so you can see what it is. The main difference between this is there's a case study to do at the end, which you have to pass in order for me to be able to certify you and give you your certificate. So that's the part that we're asking alumni to pay for. You get full access to the new program as well. Even though it's very, very similar to On Track Coach, CPD really did not need to change hardly anything in it. But there's like reading lists, there are workbooks, there are exercises to do as you go through the course. But the big difference is the case study at the end. But there is an alumni offer. If you can't make live classes in the course, can you catch up? Yes. So what happened? We don't expect you to attend live, Steph. My audience, like most of my audience, and probably a lot of the women that will be in this round will be from America, Australia. We've got someone from Hong Kong. It is not meant to be done live. Like, it's great if you can, and I will love having you on live with me. I have to teach it live as part of the CPD certification process. It's part of the agreement, so I have to deliver it live. But the idea is I will deliver it and you will receive it either that very same day, later on, uploaded to your members area, to your portal, where you have ongoing access to it, and it will just stay there. You can log in and watch it, pause it, do it, split it up if you need to. Or by the latest the very next morning, and then we'll all be in a private support Facebook group where, say you've got questions about that module, then you can ask them there, and I can either if I think it's something everyone will benefit from, I can video response it back to give training on it, or I can message you back, or I can send you a video to your email or something like that, so that you get everything answered and you never feel like you're missing out by not attending live and being able to ask a question there and then. You've got, like I said, workbooks for every module that get you to make notes and perform little exercises according to each module. So if you get stuck, or if it provokes like a train of thought where you're like, I'm not sure how this would work, you've got your workbook, it will get written down, and then you can come to the group, and or you can obviously email the support email address as well, and we will make sure that you get everything answered that way. Alexandra said, thanks for this. Reception keeps dropping, but I've managed to hear. Have been so great. Can't wait to re-listen. Oh, that's good. It's so nice to see you guys. I'm hoping I've covered everything. The other thing I'll say as well, we've got the cut-off date for enrolment is Monday, the 18th of November. It will be earlier for alumni, just because I need to know how many of you guys want to upgrade, so that I know how many spaces I've got left for new clients, just because I have to mark all your case studies, you guys, and then send them off for their CPD approval. So I have to make sure I can deliver what I've got to deliver. So just so you know how it goes, alumni, I will be emailing you all just to let you know. I have to give you like a little bit of an earlier cutoff, just so that I know how many of you are in and how many spaces I have left for new coaches. And then but you've got till the 18th of November to apply to do it if you're sort of brand new to us. If for those of you that have already jumped in or are coming in now, we've already put your reading list in the membership area, and your reading list is in the membership area, and we've put in Charlie Day's lead generation and masterclass, because the feedback has been so many of you want to get a jump on getting your head around how you're going to find clients. In preparation, you want as much time as possible. So we've put that in there so that you can get started with having to think about how you want to market your business. How do you want to find your clients? So all those things we were talking about today about what methods will be best for you, you've got a whole masterclass from Charlie Day in there to get going with as well. So let me know, message me. I'm going to probably email you all with just like the replay information anyway. But just reach out. You've got my WhatsApp number, you've got my email, you know where I am on IG. Reach out, we can have a chat. Always, as always, no pressure, no obligation. I just want you to come in if it's the exact right thing for you. And you'll know, like I spoke to someone yesterday on a call and we were talking about the fact that you just have a gut feeling, like you know instinctively, like, oh my God, there's a reason, like this really speaks to me. Like, if it feels like that for you, then yeah, definitely get in touch and let's have a chat about it. And or voice note me on WhatsApp and we can voice note. You know I love a voice note. So much information, really found this worthwhile. Oh, I'm so glad. And if you think of anything else in the meantime, just message. Like I said, I think we should do a bit of a social media brainstorm session of ways. I know it's a big barrier for a lot of you, and I just don't want you all to think you've got to do it like I do. So I think it'd be really good to get together maybe later on this week and talk about different ways to use social media, or ways to do it not on like the big ones like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all of that, or alternative solutions. It might be nice to do that. So let me know if that's of interest as well. But yeah, have a great rest of your day. Keep in touch. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, excited. I'm excited to welcome you in to the very first certified course. Oh, this is a mouthful. I'm very, very excited to welcome you into the Accountability Coach certification for those of you that are coming. Right, thanks so much. Biggest concern is getting clients and being able to make a living from it. So this helps. Katie, genuinely, I think, that it will be ideal. And having spoken, I genuinely think it will be ideal, especially for, for you, for home and everything. So I'm glad I was able to spend some time talking through the reality of my day. If you think about now, let me see my other phone. I've been on this call with you for an hour, and my client, I haven't had any missed messages. So I've just been here doing my other job, my other life, selling my accountability certification, talking to you guys, writing some emails, and I'm still technically being paid as an accountability coach, but it's not lunchtime yet, so I'm not busy. And it allows me, I sort of manage my day of try and make my early mornings about my clients, my lunch times I know will be about my clients, and sort of some time in the evening for my clients. And then I pack in all the other things I'm doing around then. So it's it's pretty great. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty great. Seems doable to fit in around 5 kids. It does, Katie Ann, honestly. Like, if you can manage WhatsApp with your friends, it's not a whole lot different. Like, you know, yes, there's been a couple of times that I might have been having a coffee with a friend or something, and the client's messaged, and maybe they've had like a blip or something, and I just had to say to my friend, like, excuse me 1 second, I'll be back now. And I leave them a voice note back just to say, you know, what's your next great choice? Like, you're having such an amazing day. Don't let this put you off. What are you going to do? Why don't you go get a big glass of water and, you know, let's like move on from it. Don't sit in it. And it takes me 30 seconds to do that, and then I go back to my friend. Like, it's very non-intrusive in your day. I'm not going to say if you're working with like 22 clients in a month, that might feel a bit more intrusive. And I did have clients at different time zones, so I did feel like they were coming in all the time. But like, that's up to you. If you want to run it as like a full-time job, like, then go right ahead. It's doable like both ways. You want to take on a lot of clients, you can, because it is just managing your WhatsApp messages, and we're all so used to doing that. And there's nothing to stop you. I don't do it, but I know coaches who do. There's nothing to stop you amending. Like, once you know the framework, you can do like a VIP package where they get their daily accountability processes, and they maybe get a weekly Zoom, and you can charge more for that, because that absolutely is another version of the product that there's a market for. You know, some people want that hour of like, let's look at everything that happened that week and what can we improve on, or how are things going, or you could do it once a month. Like, absolutely could be done. There could be several iterations of the same process. Like, I use exactly the same process with one-on-one clients that I do in my 40 Fit challenge for their accountability. Obviously, we do live coaching on top and everything, but it's the same thing, repeatable process that you can just manipulate it into different situations. So yes, very doable. Oh, you're so welcome, you guys. Yeah, feel free to pop off. If you do have another question, carry on asking them. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just checking I've got everyone's messages. So yeah, I'll probably pop you all a message anyway, just to make contacts and try and be like not awkward. As in, like, if you want to ask me anything personally or you want to have a chat. So I probably would. Don't be surprised if I make contact with you this week. But yeah, very, very exciting times to have the first accountability coaches certified and recognized globally. So if you want to work in America or with an American client, they'll be able to look you up on the register in the States. Did I tell you? I'm sure I told you all, but like, I had someone message me on Instagram and they were like, can I ask who you're accredited by? And I was like, the CPD group. And they were like, oh my God, that's even recognized in the US. And I was like, I know, like, anywhere you are in the world, you will be recognized and registered as an accountability coach with CPD. So I just want you to know that it doesn't matter whether you're in the UK or not. You absolutely will have a valid certification at the end. Right. I think I am done. Carol as well. Oh, hi, Carol. Right. How much is the course? Sorry if I've missed this. No, that's okay. I should really put the link in, but it's $1995 if you pay in full, and then there is a 6-month payment plan option and a 3-month payment plan option, so you can choose whichever is right for you. And we have put on, I think you can also choose to use like PayPal. I don't know about PayPal actually. Let me know if you want me to add PayPal. I don't think PayPal's on there. But there's like, I think we use Klarna, Apple Pay, all those kind of things. But yeah, 3 months, 6-month option, or you can pay in full. Cost in US dollars, I use a UK checkout system, so what will happen is we don't have a separate payment method. If you're paying in US dollars, it will convert at whatever today's exchange rate is according to your card provider. So obviously all banks have slightly different exchange rates. So according to your card provider, it will just convert on today's exchange rate. It's normally about an extra sort of 20% when it converts to dollars, just as a general rule. You're welcome, no worries. Right, my husband has just messaged me saying I got to do something with his football bibs. Oh, I tried but couldn't pay by PayPal. Irene, I will look into that. If PayPal is an option you want to pay, I can make that happen. I can definitely make that happen if you want to do PayPal. Unless you've already had to do it another way, in which case I apologise. Okay, yes, right, let me know. Irene, message me about that and I will let you know. Tuesday evening football, that's the one. Yes, it is. And he's like, can you get my football bibs ready? I'm like, cheeky. Right, okay. It was so nice to chat to so many of you. Thanks so much for making such a big effort to come at 11 o'clock in the middle of the day. But send me through your messages, keep in touch. And yeah, let me know where you are with it. Okay, bye you guys.